welcome to Healing Sessions XJW Recovery. This is episode 2. Today we are going to be talking about how beliefs work. Now, I'm not going to be talking much about spiritual beliefs today. I'm going to be talking about the beliefs that govern our behaviors. And I'm going to start with a brief explanation of how humans form beliefs, why they're necessary, and I'll give some examples of how they get updated as we grow. And we'll give some examples about some of the beliefs that we might need to update in our new world of not being Jehovah's Witnesses. So, first of all, an infant starts to form beliefs to keep them safe, to learn what's appropriate, to learn what's acceptable behavior in their culture or in their circumstances. So how does a child form these beliefs? So the first people that help a child develop their beliefs are the parents, grandparents, whoever's in the authority category of raising a child. These are the people that help start forming our initial beliefs. Now, the way the brain works is the brain is incredibly intelligent, and if in infancy, we don't have the critical thinking skills to decide whether we like this belief, whether we believe it, we don't have the critical thinking skills. So the brain is formed in a way that when a person of authority speaks, the brain goes, oh, okay, got it. It saves us time, it speeds up learning, and most of the time that strategy works. So for example, like I said, babies are mostly formed by their parents in the first few years of life. Parents, grandparents, whoever is in that capacity of authority. Now, that word is important because authorities change as a child grows. So while our first formative beliefs are probably from our caretakers, as the child gets a little bit older, that the category of people that the brain opens itself up to for accepting beliefs, the category of people grows. So it goes from parents, and as they reach the school age, it becomes other people of authority. So those are kind of like teachers. So now the child goes from only accepting what the caregivers teach to now opening up their world a little bit more to now what do teachers teach. Then as we get older, we go from maybe we don't even believe the parents so much, because I think teenagers are like famous for not believing their parents anymore. But a human goes from the original caregivers to other people of authority, teachers. And then as we grow older, the group widens just a little bit, and people of authority include doctors, attorneys, scientists, religious leaders. So as I was kind of explaining, the brain doesn't always use critical thinking when it accepts whether or not they believe something or not. When somebody of authority speaks, the brain has this bypass where whatever it is that they're saying just kind of goes programmed. Yeah, got it. Now, a lot of times we can go back in as logical adults and go, okay, wait a second, let me use critical thinking. But we have probably millions of beliefs that are in the back of our mind that we may not even realize are there. There's a lot of beliefs that are programmed in from infancy. A lot of times those beliefs naturally update according to our age and according to our knowledge. Sometimes they don't, though. Sometimes some of the beliefs that we start in the early years, sometimes they get stuck there. So beliefs are critical for keeping us safe, for teaching us how to behave. And like I said, the brain doesn't have time to think about what do I believe every single second. So this is kind of like unconscious programming that's just there in the back of our mind that we just operate off of automatically. So let me give you a couple of examples. For example, a mother might tell their baby, fire's dangerous. Fire's dangerous. That's an important belief for a kid to have, right? It keeps them safe. It keeps them from, oh, okay, don't touch that. The child doesn't use critical thinking, go, I wonder if I believe this, or I wonder if this is really true. No, it's programmed, it's in there, mom said it, done. That's great when the child is really little, but you see how that belief is going to need to grow up, how that belief is going to have to update as the child grows, because fire is not really dangerous. Fire is useful. Fire is a useful tool in certain circumstances, but obviously, according to your age, is going to determine whether or not how you use fire, right? So that belief might go from something like fire is dangerous to, okay, in certain circumstances it's okay. Then that person might actually become a firefighter, right? Because the belief is going to morph along with growth. Other common beliefs might be things like strangers are bad. Okay, that's another great thing for a child to have. If a child believes strangers are bad, that's a very protective belief, because a lot of us live in cultures and in societies where you have to protect your children. And so instilling that belief in a child is a good thing, right? But you see how if you didn't update that belief as you grow, that could be a bad thing, because strangers are dangerous when you're a child. But as you get older and you enter into the workforce, for example, if you don't update that belief and you walk around as an adult thinking strangers are dangerous, that's going to limit you. It protected you when you were a kid, but it limits you as an adult, because now you're an adult and you live in a world full of strangers. You work with strangers. Strangers need to be your clients. So that has to morph into something different, like strangers are just people, or the world is full of strange and beautiful people. You can morph that belief into something new that supports your new life. So there's a lot of beliefs that serve us in one age group or in one life frame, and they need to grow up. The beliefs need to change as we change, as our life changes, as our knowledge changes. We have to update those beliefs. So what are some of the beliefs that we might have that served us before but don't work anymore? We might believe things like bad association spoils useful habits. So when you're in a cult and they want to keep you in this little box, you need to believe that, because if you don't believe that, you might leave. They don't want you to leave. So bad association spoils useful habits. Okay, so let's back up for a second, because a belief has nothing to do with whether or not it's true. Beliefs are all over the place, and a belief has nothing to do with whether or not it's really true or not. So take the example of, strangers are dangerous. Believe it or not all cultures teach that. I'm here in Ecuador, and there are indigenous communities where their children have zero concept of stranger danger. They have zero concept that a stranger might be problematic. In their culture, that is not a belief that even comes up. So you might go into these cultures and the children are just all over you and hugging, and they have no concept of that belief. That's because beliefs are not necessarily based in reality. So you might want to go grab a notebook and a pen, or pen and paper or something, because I'm going to suggest that maybe you write some things down that you might want to go back to and meditate on later, because I'm going to be introducing some concepts that when you're in a really closed box, you've probably never heard of before. So I'm going to say that again. Beliefs are not based on reality. They're your reality, but not necessarily the reality. Let me go back to how the brain works when it comes to a belief. So when the brain accepts a belief as something that is true, the brain searches for proof that reinforces that belief. So that's why when you're in a religion and you believe things like worldly people are bad, every time you see something on the news, or every time somebody says something, you're automatically like, oh yeah, see, there's the proof. There it is, there it is, there it is. Because that's how the brain keeps your belief systems intact. If the brain was not designed that way, we'd be wishy-washy. We'd be like leaves that just, go here with the wind and here with the wind, and we'd be in a constant state of confusion. So when you have a belief, your brain searches for proof to reinforce the belief, which creates kind of a loop, because you believe this, you see the proof, reinforces the belief, you see more proof, and you see how that kind of goes in a circle. So there's a very specific way that the brain goes about changing a belief. Now, in order to change a belief, you have to enter into a state of wonder, a state of openness, a state of questioning. Without this emotion of openness, you're solid. Not listening. I have my belief. I have the proof. I have the belief. I have the proof. Not listening. You cannot change a belief unless you enter this state of, I wonder. Now, anybody who's come out of the religion, you'll understand exactly what I mean, because you had very, very hardcore beliefs about what you believed was true. And you saw the proof, and then it's true, and you saw the proof. Okay, so when you started questioning, it left your mind open to saying, okay, and this is where we start getting some critical thinking going on. Unfortunately, a lot of times when you're locked in a box, you're not taught critical thinking. Critical thinking is not okay. You just think, believe, faith, you're not allowed to enter into this state of critical thinking. So when you started coming out of the religion, you had your beliefs, and then all of a sudden you started to question, wait a second, is this true? So that's the first state. Then the brain goes into the critical thinking state, where it's open to more information. So then you go into your research, you go into some investigation, and the brain goes, wait a second, I didn't see that before. I didn't notice that before. I didn't know. So you go from belief to the open questioning state to the information phase. And then you can take all of that information and go, wait a second, that's not true. Now, okay, so now with all of this new information, now I believe this. Okay. And so all of you who've come out of the religion, you went through that process. Maybe it was fast, maybe it took years, but those are the states that the brain goes through. Knowing those states allows us to accelerate belief change. So belief change doesn't have to take years. Knowing that that's how we change beliefs, we can access those states and change beliefs very quickly. Now, for those of you that would really love for all of your family to wake up, this is why they can't, okay? Because we're trying to bombard them with all this new information. We're like, oh my God, look at this and look at this and look at this. And they're in this state of mind still. They literally cannot see proof in front of them unless they're in this questioning phase. So of course we want to share with everybody that we love what we've learned, but the truth is we're beating a brick wall, literally. And no matter how logical you are, no matter how many facts you present, their brain is going to reject it because they're not in the phases of belief change. They're not in this, oh, I wonder, oh, okay, let me start this. Okay, so unless they're in that investigative stage, we love them. We hope they wake up. We hope they change. But unless they're following this brain cycle, their brain is literally not going to change the beliefs that they have. They're not ready. They're not there yet. But you are. So what are some of the things, what are some of the beliefs that we want to enter into this cycle of change? What are some of the beliefs? I wrote a couple of them down here. So we've got, bad association. How about one of these? How about this? The heart is treacherous. Ooh. Do you see how that fits in a religious box? Don't trust yourself. Don't trust intuition. Don't trust what you're thinking. Only trust what you're told. The heart is treacherous. Okay, so how does that work out here? How does that work in real life, right? The heart is not treacherous. The heart is the seat of wisdom. The heart is there's our intuition. Okay, so we've got maybe bad association. We've got the heart is treacherous. How about if you leave Jehovah, he's going to withdraw his Holy Spirit. We're born sinners. What about money beliefs? What about it's easier for a rich man to get into the eye of a needle than the kingdom of God? We came from a religion that loves poverty. The poorer you are, the more spiritual you are. That worked in this box, and we believed that it was true in this box. But is it true? Does it work for us out here? Now, let's go back to what I said before about beliefs are not based on reality. Think about what we used to believe. That was our reality. Reality is true to you. Your beliefs are true to you because your brain is searching for proof, right? So what is reality? What is truth? I don't know. I don't know. It's whatever you believe that it is. It's whatever you choose to believe, because there are very, very few concrete things that are true no matter what. Okay, so what's a concrete truth? We breathe oxygen. That's pretty concrete. That's not really open for interpretation that I know of. We live on planet Earth. But you know what? If you want to really open your mind, do we? Because what about other dimensions? What about time not being real? I mean, there is a whole world out there. And now we have a clean slate to go through everything we believe and go, critical thinking here. How concrete is this? How useful is this? What do I believe? What do I choose to believe? Because here's the thing, whatever you choose to program your mind to believe, that's exactly what your brain is going to search for proof for, and it's going to reinforce that in your life, in your results, in your whole world. So one of my favorite quotes is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Because now you understand how the brain works with the power of what you believe. So whatever you think, that's what's going to be in your reality. So we've kind of covered a little bit of religious beliefs, but here I have another list here. What are some of the other beliefs that might not be helping us, right? I'm too old. I need an education in order to make money and succeed financially, or making friends is hard. People aren't loyal. People aren't trustworthy. I can't. Okay. So if you have any of those thoughts going through your mind, that's exactly what you're going to get in your life. You're going to believe that it's true because your brain is going to search for proof to back up the belief. So this goes even like beyond religion and beyond coming out and reprogramming yourself on the outside world. There's a ton of beliefs in there, because there's people that influence what our beliefs are, right? So medical doctors, teachers, people of authority. So what about things like, well, your eyesight goes down after 40. Well, that's a great belief, right? Because the body and the mind are listening to your thoughts. There's not a distinction. Your brain doesn't necessarily go, oh, well, you know what? I think that, but I'm not going to believe it, because there's unconscious programming. And unless you use critical thinking to say, hey, wait a second, I believe everybody's eyesight goes down after you turn 40. Says who? You see, you open into this state of questioning, wondering, wait a second, everybody's eyesight goes down after 40? My grandparents had great eyesight. So you see how you can change that belief by following that circle of openness, questioning, wondering. searching for examples, counter examples that contradict what the belief is. You form a new belief, and now you're like, wait a second, I have fine eyesight. My eyesight's great. We might believe things about our genetic health, my family's overweight, so that means I have to be overweight. If that's in your head, that's what you're going to get. So you change those beliefs by going through that cycle. So you go, my family's overweight, so therefore I have to be overweight. Wait a second. There's skinny people in my family too. I'm not doomed just because. So you go through this cycle and you go, wait a second. I'm in control of my health. I'm in control of my diet. Just because something is true for this person doesn't mean that that's my programming. It doesn't mean that that's what I have to believe. That doesn't mean that that's what my reality has to be. So this is a huge topic, and I've probably brain dumped a ton of information on you. So I think probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the episode right now, let you meditate a little bit on what I've said. And then I'm going to start part 2. I'm going to start part 2 of digging into our beliefs and what we need to change so that we can thrive on the outside. So I've kind of given you an overview of how beliefs work, what the brain does, how we form beliefs. So I love you guys. This is tons of great information, probably stuff you've never really even thought about before. So please hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode, which I'm going to work on right now. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.